You to picture this. I'm a 6-year-old on the Xbox Live playing Project Gotham Racing 2. I'm down to the last race. It's 2 laps around the Nürburgring. This is easily one of the hardest races in the entire game because it's the last one. But 2 laps around the Nürburgring, as a kid, I didn't even know how to do one. I'm in my Enzo Ferrari, and the way I played this game as a kid was I like to pass everybody on the first lap and then try and block everybody, right? Here's the thing, that never happened. The reason why there was 2 white cars that always fucking had my number. I would start the race, I'd pass the bullshit Carrera GT, and eventually I would see those 2 up the hill 30 miles from me. I never got to pass them. I tried over and over and over again. Very frustrating. It was just a straight line. I didn't know any other strategies. I don't know what I thought was going to happen, but eventually I was a little more patient. I learned how to brake. I learned how to be a little more resourceful, and I got to the 2 white cars. It was the CLK GTR. I was like, holy shit, I've never seen this before. And then I saw the Porsche GT1. But here's the thing. I passed them. And what did I see? Second place. Whoa, where the fuck is first place? That's when it hit me. At the start of the race, there is a black blur of devil machinery that goes to the middle and just disappears. And I never paid attention to that because I was so focused on passing the cars in front of me. So after all that work, I passed the CLK, I passed the GT1, and lo and behold, the TVR Cerbera Speed 12 was 50 more fucking miles ahead of me. What is the name? What is it derived from? So in Greek mythology, there's this 3-headed dog monster hound, gatekeeper of the underworld called the Cerberus, right? The whole point of this dog is to keep the dead dead and the living living. And frankly enough, the daddy of the Cerberus is a Typhon, which is another TVR. So clearly they have their batshit cars named after things that are not real because this fucking brand is not real. But here's where it gets interesting. Here's where it gets very interesting. Not sure if you've seen White Lotus Season 3, but there is a tree called the Suicide Tree. What is the Suicide Tree called? It's called the Cerbera Ojalam. I probably butchered that, but stay with me now. It isn't what the TVR is named after, but I find it fitting that the Suicide Tree is named after the suicide car. Because we all know, if you step inside a TVR Cerbera, honestly any TVR, you are signing off your life. Call your loved ones, call your friends, call your family. It might be the last time you're in a car. Alright, you cannot talk about the Speed 12 without talking about the base stock version, the TVR Cerbera. And as the base stock version, labeling it that is probably the biggest insult of all time. Yet here we are saying that. Okay, this car was out in the 90s. It has around 350 horsepower. The fastest version is 420. Could reach 199 with that faster version. But here's the thing. It only cost $40,000. And to be frank, there were 3 cars at the time faster in hitting 60 miles per hour than this $40,000 car. Can you guess based on the price range? Yeah, it's the Ferrari F50, the Porsche 911 GT1, and the McLaren F1. Super chill. In fact, before his Top Gear glory days, Jeremy Clarkson drag races this against the Dodge Viper, against the Ford Escort, the Lotus Esprit, the Porsche 911, and you know what the TVR did?
Boom! The Porsche surged ahead, but whoa, look at that TVR behind the Blackpool Rocket. 2,300 horsepower here, tearing up the Leicestershire countryside, and at half distance it's still TVR. Will it really do a standing mile in less than 30 seconds?
A tenth of the price, okay? And, you know, if you've seen my TVR video, card here, you will know that these guys are all psychopaths. They come from Lotus Racing, right? They don't have ABS, traction control, airbags. Some of these cars are mid-engine, probably most of them, rear engine, fucking whatever. They don't care, okay? And just the idea of building a supercar that is 1, cheap, and 2, just straight car is insane. And for me to parlay this into my next segment, which is now the Speed 12, hold your fucking drinks and hold your fucking hearts, because here we go. I personally have a belief that in the world, anything that is the upper top cream of the crop art you should interpret for yourself. You don't want to watch a video about the backstory of the Mona Lisa without seeing the Mona Lisa itself, right? You don't want to listen to the prime Nas album, Illmatic, without having your own opinion before reading about it, right? I'm going to do the same. I'm going to shut the fuck up, and I'm going to have the specs listed right here. Just take a nice look. I'll give you 10 seconds. I don't know what to do here, but yeah, just look at the thing. Just absorb it. Absorb it as your own. Interpret these numbers as your own. I'm not here to try and push you towards a narrative. You done? Okay. So, of course, the Speed 12 was used in many racing configurations, but here we are in a road legal car. Peter Wheeler, you know, the history of TVR, they've had so many fucking owners because, in essence, it's just a sports car brand, which means we don't make profit. Peter Wheeler at the time, you know, he designed this car. He was behind it. He drove this car home. The first thing that came out of this dude's mouth was, every single person who put a deposit is going to get a refund, and we are going to cancel production immediately. For the best. For the best. But I just can't fathom what this fucking car must have felt like. I refuse to believe that there are any counterparts in the real world today. Right? I know there's a lot of Widowmakers, but this is like if the Widowmaker was a serial killer and was jumping around creating different widows. I don't understand what they were thinking behind this car and how they would make this legal, even if it was. Going back to Project Gotham Racing 2, if you guys know the Nürburgring records, they're around 6 minutes for road legal cars, right? I believe it's the AMG GT1 Mercedes. Given it's an arcade sim, I'd give it some slack. But this fucking beast, when driven to its full capabilities, drove a 539. Or a 536, whichever one I'm going to put here. Are you fucking out of your mind? This is a game 25 years ago. The best car is beating the leading time right now by 40 seconds, okay? This isn't Midnight Club 2. This isn't fantasy racing. This was Xbox Live's best way of portraying a fun simulation game. So, of course, let's give it bias, right? Let's give a little more bias, negative bias, that is. I still can't comprehend that. And there's a video of the current Stig. He comes out of, you know, the Stig closet and goes, "This is who I am." Has a video of the TVR Cerbera doing a lap, and it is a dog shit time. Because in my opinion, I could be wrong, there is no man capable in this world who can drive this car to its fullest extent. And if they do, it may be their last drive. So I guess what has the TVR Cerbera taught me and maybe taught you? It's taught me that don't trust anything anymore. I'm almost certain that the supercars and the hypercars that engineers are building right now are not to their full potential. Because I do think the TVR Cerbera Speed 12, relative to its era, is the most absurd idea and batshit car of all time. I don't think it'll ever be topped. Just the sheer fear that it had in the owner's heart. I think it teaches us that, you know, just because a car brand can doesn't mean it will. And this was a perfect example. That being said, unless you're in a TVR going out to get groceries, I'll see you next time.